I'd first like to start off by thanking the Alumni Board for all their work with tonight's festivities, and it is my pleasure to introduce Jane Park Sando tonight. My association with Jane goes back to her fifth grade year at Columbus Academy. We only had about a dozen or so girls in that class, so needless to say, I got to know the girls fairly well when they came to PE. Jane was surrounded by a great group of girls in that class, and she was one that always had a smile on her face and was willing to do it all and was successful in all our activities. I quickly saw I wanted to get her into my sport, field hockey. So I during PE class, would kind of egg her on to say, "You're going to play field hockey, right, Jane?" And she became a leader in our program. She also was a leader in our basketball and lacrosse teams. And one thing that really stood out to me was her athletic IQ is what stood her apart from her peers. Now, her freshman year, she made the varsity team, which was a really big deal. And I had her playing one of the tag positions. Mid-season, we were headed to Cleveland for a big showdown with Shaker Heights, who was undefeated. We got on the bus, we're headed up, and I turned around and noticed that my starting right wing, well, she was homesick, and I thought, oh Lordy, what am I going to do? So about an hour and a half to 2 hours I debated, and I decided to start Jane in that particular game. Well, we won the big game, and Jane scored the winning goal for us to win that game 1-0. Her freshman year, we yielded our first state championship at Columbus Academy over Shaker Heights, that same team, for a 2-1 victory. Jane's hard work and dedication with her game provided strength and leadership within our program for the next 3 years, and during her senior season, we won our second state field hockey championship in 1997. Now, lacrosse was no different for her. She was a hard worker and a disciplinarian of the sport as well. Her tenacious will was seen during our lacrosse season. Now, one of her teammates, who I do remember vividly who it was, I won't name her, stepped on her ankle during one of our defensive drills. And after I got done beating her up, I went over to check on Jane to make sure she was okay. Well, I was like, gosh, Jane's season's over. We really have got to have her on the field. So we decided that we'd do a little therapy, and Jimmy Stahl there, so I knew everything would be better now. And so we would rest her, and so we just kind of decided we would save her for the game. So she'd come to practice to make it look pretty good, and she'd do like every one out of every 4 or 5 rotations, and then come game time, she never came off the field. She played center, and lacrosse is about 120 yards that you've got to run back and forth. It's a lot of running. And she kept it up and always gave it her best. So, that was kind of our secret weapon with her. Now, one of the things that's really important to note that Jane was big in an overtime win over Hathaway Brown. Back during her senior year, we were part of the Midwest Lacrosse Association, in which there were 5 states that blended in towards trying to create a champion. Now there's like an Ohio State Coaches Association, but back then we would play 5 games in 1.5 days. Remember that, Jimmy Stahl? He was a big part of it, man, with his cold towels, keeping us all cool and ready to go. But we really had to find a way to win it. And we were up in Detroit at Cransbrook Kingswood. And we advanced to the finals with a nerve-wracking win with trying to stall. We called this, and the name of the play was Jimmy, for Jimmy Stahl, that we would try to get out there. We actually had started the stall way too early. It just about blew it. But we ended up getting into the state, to the Midwest Championship against Hathaway Brown, who continues to be one of our foes around here. And so we went through a tough game, and the game was going back and forth. Well, it ended up in a tie in regulation. And so I was thinking, we got this. And in the draw, one of our own players, who I know who that was, but I won't name her right now, committed a foul. And we lost possession of the ball. And I thought, because it's sudden victory. First team that scores wins the game. Off they went down the field, and I was thinking, oh Lordy. Well, we ended up getting the ball, and we cleared it over to the side. And I told them earlier in the season, I said, because back then the boundaries were, you see that tree and that rock? All right, that's the out of bounds over there, so there were natural boundaries instead of the lines that we have now. And I said, if you get to a point where there's no one to throw it over the girl's head. We'll run over, pick it up, and we'll get going. When we ended up with the ball on the side, and Emily Sinkhorn had the ball, she threw the ball about 50 yards down the field. Jane Park runs, she swoops it up, she hits Chris Cash, who cuts across the goal. I am getting chills like crazy right now. And she does this reverse shot back in to win the game in overtime, and that was our first big lacrosse win that Jane was a big part of. And so that year, during her senior year, we won a state championship and the big lacrosse championship. So that was a big year for us. And Jane, her time, she just loved Academy. She didn't want to leave when it came to be her senior year. And And we'd have many heart-to-heart talks, and at that point, Yale was courting her heavily. Now, Mom and Dad really wanted her to go to Harvard. If I remember, Mama's laughing back there. And the coach from Yale actually flew down here and met with me one-on-one and said, what can I do to get Jane Park to come to Yale? I said, I don't know. I said, it's her mama. I said, you're going to be talking to the wrong person. And Jane didn't know what to do. She was going back and forth. But she ended up going to Harvard, and she ended up there, and then she called me one night just crying and boo-hooing. She said, I am done here at Harvard, I'm coming home. I said, no, you are not. I said, you are staying put, and you're going to see this thing through, just dig in and suck it up. Well, there she stayed for 4 years. She was captain her senior year at Harvard and did a great job. So she just once again showed her ability to dig in and make things happen. So the other thing that's really great about Jane is that after she was done with all that fun stuff, she came back to Academy and was a coach for us. And she coached our lower levels in middle school and was just a great advocate for our younger kiddos and showed that great enthusiasm. And there's that beautiful smile that was always a big part of what she's about today. She continues to stay in touch with me and through our programs. She's always checking about the journey of what our teams are doing currently. I always look forward to her reaching out back to us. So I cannot think of anyone that's a better advocate for the school than Jane Park Sando, and I can't think of a better person to receive this honor. Congratulations, Jane.
I'm a little more long-winded than Karen. So I never thought I'd be up here on this stage to speak other than to give my junior speech, so this time around is so much better, though I'm only a little less nervous. Thank you to Ms. Horton for the kind introduction, and John Lucas and the rest of the alumni board for bestowing this award on me. I'm so incredibly honored and humbled. The company I joined is just outstanding. Seeing the plaques in the hall over the years made me hope that I would be inducted, but I never thought it would actually happen. So when my good friend Awesome Hot called to give me the great news, I couldn't hold back my excitement, and I let out a little scream, startling the friends that were with me. So for me, it started at, it was 6th grade, not 5th grade, but it was 6th grade, close enough. In gym class, when this curly brown-haired Spitfire woman with a southern drawl got us all obsessed with field hockey, a sport I'd never heard of before. And this is a good thing, because basketball used to be my favorite sport, and unlike my co-inductee here, I was not as gifted on the court. The next 6 years of athletics at Academy were just created some of the best memories of my life, and I'm still very close to so many of my classmates and teammates. Athletics also helped shape the person I became with the values that I learned and the accomplishments I attained on the field. I definitely would not be where I am today. I can't thank the following people enough. Ms. Horton, who taught me so much, who always brought out the best in her athletes and gave us the confidence to believe in ourselves, and who still is a great friend. Mr. Stahl, for keeping me healthy and allowing me to keep on playing on the field, for allowing me and Sarah Fosno to run his training room, and also just for teaching me life lessons at every opportunity. My brother for always being so supportive and proud of his little sister. My father for being the head cheer organizer at our basketball games, for running through the human tunnel, which was meant for the team, and ringing the cowbell as loudly as he could. And my mother for being a model of strength and determination and making the best egg rolls for our pregame meals. And both my parents for just continuously supporting my athletic endeavors and driving thousands of miles to cheer me on at high school and college games. And last but not least, my husband Mark. He is my rock, and though he didn't know me during my playing years, he is very proud of me, especially since I'm the best female on his works co-ed flag football team. I want to thank you all so much, my friends, my family, and everyone else here, for coming to support me and receiving this recognition. It is a thrill and an honor to be joining the Columbus Academy Athletic Hall